I've eaten a lot of sandwiches in my life, and if there's one that's ever made me speechless, this is it. Okay, so today we're making a very specific torta sandwich. Obviously, we're making the bread. So I want to point out that this can be applied to many different kinds of meats. You don't have to do the birria, you can do whatever you want, but I would recommend that you start here if you want to goddamn drop your well, maybe not drop your draws, but this is a meal where you sit down, you eat, and you're not getting up afterwards due to the immense amount of, well, calories.
We could just do plain birria on here, but we're gonna wrap our birria in a cheese crust, and that is what makes this sandwich special.
This isn't a diet show, so with all that being said, let's make this, shall we?
As I've said, this is no ordinary torta, let alone a sandwich. We have our homemade telera, big dub, but what you need to pay attention to is this cheese crust encased ultra juicy birria. So let us begin. Now, contrary to how we usually start with homemade breads, I'd actually recommend that you start with your birria. It's mostly the same as my original birria recipe, link in the description, but because I'm a sweetie pie, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown anyway. I do want to notate that this whole sandwich recipe, including the birria, will make enough for 6 to 8 people. First, begin with a 7 to 10 quart pot, add enough oil to coat the bottom, heat it over medium-high until it's as hot as me in short shorts, then sear 1 pound or 450 grams of boneless chuck roast, 3 big short ribs, and 1.5 pounds or 675 grams of oxtail. Once all that's beautifully browned, remove from the pot and add 1 chopped yellow onion and 8 cloves of rough chopped garlic. Saute your "why does it smell so good in here" starter pack, season and taste with salt, and once softened, add 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of tomato paste. Continue to cook till the tomato paste starts to caramelize on the bottom of the pan, or well, pot in this case. Add your sachet consisting of 1 tablespoon or 8 grams of black peppercorns, 1 tablespoon or 7 grams of coriander seeds, 6 bay leaves, and 1 cinnamon stick wrapped and tied in cheesecloth so nothing falls out, because that would literally defeat the entire purpose of this tea bag. That sachet goes into the pot, followed by 2.5 quarts or roughly 2.5 liters of rich beef stock and 5 sprigs of fresh oregano. Stir that and set to medium-high, bring to a boil, then reduce the heat to low to a light simmer. Add all your beef back and a mix of 5 ancho chilies and 5 guajillo chilies, which have both been deseeded. Instead of a lid, I like to add a cartouche, but if you don't want to be squilliam fancy son like me, then you can use a lid. Now just simmer that for 1 hour, remove all your chilies, place into a blender along with about a pint or 450 milliliters of cooking liquid, blend that on high until smooth as possible, add back to your pot, stir lightly to avoid tearing the meat up, bring back to a simmer on low heat, and allow that to simmer and reduce for 1.5 more hours, and it's done. Remove your ridiculously tender beef, discard all the bones, then using gloves or 2 forks, shred the meat as fine as possible, and yes, please, dear God, include the fat. So mix it all together with the meat to create what I'd call the epitome of moist. I don't care if you don't like the word, okay? It's descriptive. Now ladle in a splash of your broth to your beef, season it to taste with salt, and you're done. Now if you want to be efficient with your time, you can also make your telera bread while your meat is simmering, considering you have 3 hours to do so, but of course either can be made a full day ahead of time if needed. Start with 1.5 cups or 375 grams of water at 95 Fahrenheit, whisk in 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of instant yeast till dissolved, let that sit for 5 minutes, then whisk in 1 tablespoon or 17 grams of honey. Separately in a medium-sized bowl, whisk together 4.5 cups or 675 grams of all-purpose flour with 1.5 teaspoons or 10 grams of fine sea salt. Add your yeasty to your stand mixer, set the mixing speed to medium-low, and add your flour 1 large spoonful at a time till all of it's added. Then once it begins to form a dough, add 1.5 tablespoons or 23 grams of lard or bacon grease if you want to be ultra naughty. And just let that mix for 5 minutes or until you get a beautifully smooth dough. Give that a couple more kneads by hand, roll that into a light ball, and place in a greased bowl, cover with plastic wrap, name your little man, and rise for 1 hour or till doubled. Now, of course, essentially caress your dough. Then punch it down to thoroughly degas it, dump it onto a lightly floured work surface, and cut into 6 even pieces. Obviously, you can go for 8 if you want more medium-sized tortas, but just stop playing and make them big. It's what everyone wants. Form those pieces into light balls and let them rest for 5 minutes. Then roll each ball into a rough cylinder about 7 inches in length, tapering the ends. Then using a greased straw, press 2 indentations lengthwise, equally spaced apart into the dough. This does 2 things. It flattens and widens the dough, but it also creates that classic telera shape. Now place your finished dough onto a baking sheet lined with greased parchment paper and repeat with the rest of your dough. You should be able to fit these on 2 baking sheets. I tried to fit all 6 on one, and granted it's possible, but it would be a lot better if it was 3 by 3. Cover that with an inverted baking sheet, then wrapped in plastic wrap or, just greased plastic wrap, and let that proof at room temp for 25 minutes or till puffed and nearly double. Spray with water and pop into an oven that's been preheated to 400 Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes or until you pull out beautifully smooth golden brown telera breads. Now these look rather simple, but the interior is softer than a cloud and the exterior is airy and crisp, truly the perfect bread for this application. Let those cool to room temp and we're almost at assembly. assembly time. Of course, we need to have a yum yum sauce. Super simple. Combine 3/4 of a cup or 185 grams of mayo, a 1/4 cup or 60 grams of sour cream, 2 teaspoons or 5 grams of chipotle powder, a 1/4 teaspoon or 1 gram of cumin powder, 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of Cholula hot sauce, and 3 cloves of garlic grated. Season that it tastes with salt and pepper, whisk together, and that is your yum yum sauce. Before assembly, make sure you got your mise en place. 2 tomatoes, sliced somewhat thin, 1 sweet onion, finely diced, 1 head of iceberg lettuce, very thinly sliced, and 2 perfectly ripe avocados, sliced into half-inch pieces, hit with a little bit of regular or smoked flaky salt, and finished with lime juice. Now for the secret in the moment you've been waiting for. Instead of just tossing a heaping stack of your meat on your bread, we're gonna wrap it in a crispy Oaxacan cheese crust. You'll need at least 4 cups of shredded Oaxaca cheese, but extra is always good. Heat a dry 12-inch non-stick pan over medium heat, sprinkle in just enough cheese to coat the bottom of the pan, let that melt, and then continue to cook, fluctuating the heat up and down as needed until the underside of the cheese is beautifully browned and crisp, about 2 to 4 minutes. And sprinkle a nice line of your diced sweet onion, a light sprinkling of fresh chopped cilantro, and then layer in enough beef for 1 sandwich, roughly in the same shape of your Tolera bread. Then carefully wrap your cheese around the meat to fully encase it, sort of like a burrito. And that's it. It should hold together quite well if you did it correctly, and you have a cheese-crusted birria in all of its shiny, cheesy glory. Now get your Tolera, cut it in half, brush the cut sides with your birria beef fat, toast it in a pan till crisp and nice, spread on a generous amount of your yum yum sauce on both sides of the bread. Then on the bottom slice, add your avocado to your heart's desire, some slices of tomatoes, which of course were salted. Don't try to add me here, all right? A nice stack of your refreshing shreddis. And finally, in betwixt those worlds of flavor is your baton of cheese-encased perfection. Now carefully crown your king, get a sharp knife, slice it in half, and wow. You have a sandwich that isn't just world class, but one bite is for sure to send you out of the planet and into another dimension of flavor that I can't sit idling by without you having a taste. So grab a bowl of consomme, topped with onion and fresh chopped cilantro, dunk your sandwich with tears welling up in your eyes, and enjoy a core memory-causing bite. Now let's taste test this to see if we may have created the greatest sandwich of all time.
I don't even think this is a high claim to say that this is one of the greatest sandwiches that we've ever made in the history of really anything. I have immense love and admiration for the torta. A beautiful creation that anything can be put in, really, but if there's anything that it should be cheese crust wrapped meat. A dunk. Yeah. Holy sh**. This is ridiculous. Funny enough, it's actually not too rich. My concern was this is gonna be too rich, it's gonna be too fatty. This is perfectly balanced. The acidity, the spice, the saltiness, the fatty beef oozing. The juicy squirt is so unbelievably present. This is the greatest sandwich we've ever made on this channel, period, end of story. And I mean that to the fullest extent of the law. I think we should have someone come in here and eat this. Kevin wants to eat it. Kevin, do you like naughty, oh, so naughty sandwiches?
That's what I order, and most of the time they look at me weird.
Kevin was on the channel in the humble beginnings, and we saw some stuff in his own home. And somehow that led to him working here. What a success story. So now it's all brought you to this very moment to eat this sandwich. Wow, what a bite. Oh.
If I can have the rest of this sandwich, I will quit my job and come work for you.
You heard it here. One of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
You actually can have the rest of the sandwich.
I can? I lifted a few inches off the ground when I was chewing it, and then as I swallowed it, I like came back down to the earth. So it's sort of like each bite, it's a
sussy.
This is insane.
Yeah, it's dumb. Long story short, food should not taste that good. This is the greatest sandwich you'll ever make in your entire life. And I know I say that kind of stuff all the time, but this really will change your life. And you'll probably have to change your pants afterwards.
You wanna know what else has big mounds of Papa's hot meat? B-roll.
Alright guys, and that is it. So we made our most perfect, most beautiful, most sensuous torta sandwich. And I feel like we just keep one-upping ourselves because we recently did the French dip, which if you haven't seen, link is in the description. Quick plug right there. This is even better than that. Obviously, there's a lot of wait time with the cooking and waiting for it to rise. If you combine waiting for the bread to rise and waiting for the meat to braise, it's really not that bad, okay?
Stop complaining and just take the goddamn time it takes
to make something utterly delicious and special. Now, with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. My voice is kind of strained from yelling all week at people who don't do things right.